Hello friends, today in the notebook we'll be covering percent. What is percent? When I say percent, I simply mean divided by 100. And you can see this percent sign, it looks like we took the divided sign here and kind of put it on its side, right? So percent it's a common denominator, okay? It's a common denominator of 100. It's per cent, per 100, like cents. In cents is a penny, right? 1 penny is 1/100th, right? Per means divide. So it's just shorthand. It means divide by 100. That's all it means. It's not a fancy anything. You could put divide by 100. You could divide by 100 yourself and get rid of this sign, okay? The sign is just a shortcut for divide by 100, okay? So it's talking about divide by 100. Well, in place value, this is divide by 10. This is divide by 100. And then we have divide by 1000. And then if we went this way, it would be times 1, times 10, times 100, times 1000, etc. Right? So when we say per 100, that's this guy right here. So this I wrote X's because I genuinely, when I'm talking about percent, unless I'm rounding, even then though I'm talking about thousandths place, so even if I round, it isn't too important. This one might be important for rounding up or down, or I should say keeping the same. So what I would say is I don't care about these. I might care about this one, but I definitely care about these. So when we ask for percent, we're talking about just AB, right? So when we have a decimal in a percent, it doesn't need to mess you up, okay? Percent means divide by 100. So we'll divide all of this by 100. And when you have decimals, when you're dividing, you can move the decimal this way to make the number smaller. And we're dividing by one place. Each zero is a place value, so 2 place values. We're dividing by 2 place values. So 0, 0, 2, 8, etc. Remember that percent is dividing by 100. Percent is out of 100. So anything over 100 is going to be more than one whole, right? 100 out of 100 is one whole. So anything more than 100, well, now I've got 5 copies of that 100. So I've got 5. So to find a decimal, so let's just make up a number with CAB hundredths. Another way to say that is CAB hundredths or CAB hundredths. So all of that is the same thing. And what we are saying is we have CAB out of 100. So this would be the hundredths, and this would be what's more than 100, right? So if we had a 4-digit number, these two would be what's more than the 100, okay? So then it would be XC.AB. So let's look at an example of this nonsensical writing here. Let's say we have 18 hundredths. Hundredths means divide by 100. That's the place value, okay? So 18 hundredths, that's this right here, the TH. Another way is saying 18 hundredths or 18%. 18% and hundredths. Hundredths and percent are basically interchangeable. So what happens if we have a decimal here, 34987? Well, remember, hundredths is another way of saying divided by 100. So we would move this way to find out what the 100 is, okay? And so what I mean by that is we have a number 34.98. So out of 100s, if I wanted to write that exact same number, I would write it out of 100 like that. because then if we took 3,498, I guess we could round it to 99. We could round it to 99 over here too. Okay, so if we rounded it to 99 and then we want to change that to hundredths, right? We would move that decimal over too. So if we had 34, when we want to say percent is another name for divide by 100. So if we wanted to take this number right here and we wanted to turn it into some kind of a percent, okay? So if we want to turn that number into a percent, this number turned into percent needs a common denominator of 100. So to have this same exact number with a 100 at the bottom, I need to multiply by 100 on both the top and the bottom, right? There's a 1 on the bottom, so I'd need to multiply by 100 top and bottom, and that would give me this. Okay, so remember, percent means divide by 100. It's just a shortcut. Okay, it's just a shortcut for the hundredths place. Divide by 100. So this whole thing here, let's go ahead and clean up our big mess that we made. This thing here actually expands to 3,499% because we would rewrite that as 3,499 divided by 100. That's what this percent means. Okay, so percent is just a shortcut for divide by 100. Keep that straight. So now we want to take our fraction and we're going to find a decimal with our fraction. So that wonderful number something CAB. C could be 5, A could be 2, B could be 4, it could be 123, it could be 067. So it's just a placeholder. I'm just using these as placeholders. You'll be given a real number. And whatever that real number is, we're just going to call it CAB. That's the percent. Okay, they're the same thing. Let's look at this example here, 875.367 over 100. Okay, so when I want to divide by 100, dividing by 100 makes something smaller. Okay, and don't get that confused up here. All right, up here I wasn't starting with something divided by 100. Okay, I was starting with something and I wanted to convert it. Okay, I wanted to convert this into something over 100. Okay, so that means I wanted to turn the 34. I wanted to turn the 34 into something with a 100 at the bottom. Okay, it was 34 over 1. So I would multiply by 100 on both sides, and now I have a 100 on the bottom. Okay, that's not what we're doing in the second example. I already have the 100 on the bottom. Okay, I have the dividing by 100. I'm not converting it. Okay, so don't get that confused. Ask yourself, I'm taking this number and I want to convert it to a percent. That means I want to convert it to a number over 100. This number in the second row, however, it already is converted to a percent. It is. Okay? So I have 875,367 over 100. So I have 8 hundredths, right? I have 8 hundredths, and then I have 75% left over there. All right, so I have 8 wholes, and then I have the 75 left over. Right, if I'm taking 875 with some change, 800 and something divided by 100 is going to be 8. So again, this one here, I didn't have the divided by 100. I was converting. So you're converting into something with a 100 at the bottom. Okay. If it has percent, the 100 is already at the bottom. You're not converting to a percent. You're given a percent. Okay. Really keep that straight. So percent means what? Divided by 100. Okay? Percent means divided by 100. It means divided by 100 or divided by 100. Okay? Or move the decimal this way, 2 for the 2 zeros. So we start here and we move it over. Okay? Let's look at example. So we have 7%. So we can just don't get rid of any decimals or anything. This is all we're worried about. Don't start converting. We're not converting. Okay, don't convert. It didn't ask us to convert. We have a percent. Okay, so we're just writing it differently. Okay, we're just writing it differently. So I needed to take this decimal because if I want to move the percent and cross it out, I can get rid of the percent and cross it out by dividing by 2 zeros, moving 2 places. Okay, I can get rid of this by moving it over 2 places. So we're just dividing by 100. Okay, everything that percent is saying is giving a common denominator to divide by 100. So let's go ahead and remember, we're dividing this 7 divided by 100 is going to make it even smaller. All right, so all of those are saying the exact same thing. So get really comfortable. 7 divided by 100, divided by 100, divided by 100. Okay? Now they might ask you to find the percent of something. Okay? So let's say they're asking you to find some blank 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 percent of x equals y. All right? Another way we can think about that is C dot AB. Okay, so C wholes, and then this would be our hundredths. So another way we could do it is write it as a decimal, or we could write it, instead of this percent here, we can put the percent down here. Because remember, percent is just a way of saying divide by 100. So these are 3 ways of saying the exact same thing. We have some kind of percent. We'll move it over to be a decimal with the hundredths, or we'll move it with a fraction with the hundredths. All right? So let's look at this more concretely. So 60% of 8 is 4.8. So another way of writing 60% is 60 in the hundredths place. 60% of 8 is 4.8. Of means multiply. Okay? So I didn't specify that down here. Of, the word of, when you see of in a word problem, that is telling you to multiply. All right? So of means multiply, so I just changed it to a multiply. Or 60% of, let's multiply, 8 is 4.8. Okay? So of means multiply, that's a code. Equals is per 100 divide by 100. Okay? So these are just shorthand because they didn't have computers back in the day and they were tired of writing all this stuff over and over again. So they wanted a common denominator. And you think about our grades are out of 100, right? Because if somebody was given a test and they had 100 problems and they got, 10 wrong, that's different than someone given 12 problems and they got 10 wrong. Right? So just because someone got 10 wrong, we need to know out of how many. So they created the percent to give us a common denominator. That way we can compare like things. Okay, so it's just a common denominator of 100. It's just, that's all this is. Find a way to give yourself a common denominator of 100 the same way you've always given yourself a common denominator. Multiply by 100 over 100. You know? All right, so let's look at an example of that bottom one again with percent of, in 2 ways that you can solve it. One is with algebra and one is with intuition. So 40 is 20% of what? So 40 is, that's just equals 20%, that's just 20 over 100, of means times what? X. Okay, so 40 is 20% of what? Okay, so that's how we would write that, right? So if you're ever given the problem, 40 is 20% of what? 40 is 20% of what? And then to solve that, we move this to the other side. And by other side, move, I'm actually doing the opposite and canceling. So the opposite of 20 over 100 is 100 over 20. Now I can get this off this side. It's to the other side. Okay. So another name for 100 over 20 is simply just 5. 5 times 40. And 5 times 40 is 200. So 40 is 20% of 200. Okay. Now let's think about that with intuition, because that is really where I want you guys to go with all of this. Percent is saying per 100. Per 100. So if I have 20%, I have 20 for every 100. 20 per 100. Okay. So 20% means 20 per 100. So for every 20, it takes 100. So how would I get to 40? Well, I would need 2 of those, right? If I get 20 with 100, I'll get 40 with 200. So 200 is the answer. So I could have solved that with my intuition on percents. So if you can just look at the problem and say, okay, let's do another one. Let's say 40 is 40% of what number? I don't even know where we're going to go with this, but let's see. I have 40 per 100. 40 per 100. So how many did I take to get to 40? Just the 100. So that's the whole takeaway is percent. Percent is just a shortcut. It is a shortcut. Yes, kitty. It's that simple. See, my kitty thinks so too. It is all that to do, all that hoorah, all that, all your whole life you've been messing with percents, and it just means divide by 100. And that concludes the notebook page on percent. Hi friends, click the link in the description for all of the worksheets that go along with today's video, and if you want to go through the notebook from the beginning or dive into another topic, check out the other videos on the channel. And of course, it wouldn't be a YouTube video without the obligatory begging, so I put a lot of effort and time into this. I just want you to get something that's not a random AI generated, blurb of nonsense. I really want people to learn, and so I can continue to do that if you can continue to support me, and so I would love a like or a subscribe, anything that helps the algorithm, and if something clicked or if something confused you, or if you want to dig into something I haven't covered yet, say so in the comments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next page of the notebook.